Okay, today's lesson 2.10 is going to be solving equations having like terms and parentheses. So in example 1, I know the type is pretty small, it says a bookstore spent $241 to send a group of students to a reading competition. Each student who won was given a $5 gift certificate and a personalized bookmark that cost $2. Included in the $241 was $45 for the salary of a staff member who accompanied the students to the competition. How many students won prizes? So one thing we want to do is kind of identify a variable because we're going to have to write an equation here. So we'll just let x be equal to the number of students because that's really what we need to find out. So how many students won prizes? So then we're going to start writing some expressions. We know that for each student who won, they were given a $5 gift certificate. So we'd have to take 5 times the number of students, and they were given a bookmark. So 2 times the number of students. So 5x plus 2x, and that information is taken from right here for the bookmark. Okay. But we also know that included in the total was $45 for the staff member who accompanied them. So all of this has to add up to the total that was spent by the store. Okay, so combining like terms first can give us 7x plus 45 equal to 241. Now we have a two-step equation. We'll undo the addition. Then second step, undo the multiplication using division. So what we should have is that 28 students were on the trip, or won prizes, I should say. What we could do to check it is to go back into the original. So 5 times 28 plus 2 times 28 plus 45 must equal the 241, and it does. What if we had parentheses? So we've talked a little bit about this, that we want to clear the parentheses. So use what you've learned about the distributive property. So you're taking a negative 2 times 17, simplifies to negative 34. And remember that you if you look at this, you can either change your subtraction to integer addition or just circle it and know that that really truly is a negative 3k. It'll save you from having a double negative in your simplified step. So negative 2 times a negative 3k is a positive 6k. And now we have the operation between that is equal to the negative 22. And it's just a two-step equation, so use the additive inverse, so negative 34 plus 34 is equal to 0, so we're adding 34 to both sides. Bring down your 6k, it's positive. Now a negative plus a positive actually means we're finding the difference. So, and the answer will be a positive because 34 has the higher absolute value. So undo the multiplication with division, and we find that k is equal to 2. Again, to check our work. You just substitute in that amount for the variable. Okay, so in order of operations, we definitely want to simplify inside the parentheses. So the multiplication will come before the subtraction. So negative 2, 17 minus 6 equals negative 22. And then you'd see negative 22 is indeed equal to negative 22. So that's an example of showing you're checking the solution. All right. Again, we want to clear the parentheses. And so I'm going to go ahead and look at what's in front of the parentheses. And unless you want to deal with subtraction and make it integer addition, if you circle that, you can then distribute a negative 3 to both of these numbers. So we'll start off with the first part, and then negative 3 times 8k is a negative 24k. Negative 3 times negative 60 is a positive 180. I see some like terms here that can be combined, so 4 plus a negative 24 is going to be a negative 20k plus 180. And then we have a two-step equation, so we'll undo the addition on both sides. A negative plus a negative means we're adding the absolute values. And then we'll divide by negative 20. And we'll get k is equal to 10. To check our work, we go back to the original problem. And all that's going to be equal to negative 20. So 40 and if we take 80 minus 60, we get 20. 3 times 20 is 60. 40 minus 60 is negative 20. And we've gone through the steps to see that our answer makes sense. Let's do some error analysis. Take a look at this problem, and I want you to describe and correct the error in solving the equation. Negative 2 times the quantity 5 minus n is equal to 2. So in doing this problem, see if you can, I'll just wait for a little while and see if you can see it. The distributive property, so how we would describe it is that the distributive property was not applied correctly. So in this case, when you are distributing the negative 2, you would get the negative 10. But remember, this is like a negative n, so this would become a positive 2n. So we'll add 10 to both sides. We'll get 2n is equal to 12, and when we divide, n is actually equal to 6. It's a positive 6, not a negative 6. In example 4 is to find the value of x for the given triangle. One thing that's missing from this problem is that you need to know something about the perimeter. Okay? So in this problem, the perimeter is equal to 22 units. So if you're given the perimeter, or if you happen to be given the area or something like that, you can then solve these types of problems. So we know that when you're finding perimeter, you're adding up all the outside edges. So we know that we have x plus this x plus 1 plus 5 equal to 22. Since there's a positive sign or a plus sign, I don't know why I really wrote the parentheses in front of that. We could just drop the parentheses because it doesn't change the signs. We're not distributing a negative 1. So you could have written this first, combine like terms, so we get 2x plus 6 equals 22, subtract 6, and divide by 2, so that x is equal to 8. And then you could check your work.